So the whole time that I have been filming videos since being back, I have like failed to mention to you guys that we are like on a night shift schedule. My husband is a paramedic and he works night shift, and I have the like opportunity to switch around my schedule so that I can actually like see him. So I bring this up because I'm still struggling like with lighting. Like I used to film in front of like this nice big window in our old house, and so it was just natural lighting and I never had to think about it. Like it always just looked really nice because it was natural. And so now it's like a struggle. Like I have the ring light, I have like some recessed lighting over here. I think it's been looking okay. I am like a little bit concerned like when I do swatches and things like that. But just bear with me if it does look a little bit off. I don't know until I go to like obviously edit these videos and see like what they look like. But you are not here to hear me ramble about my lighting issues. What you're here for is the very first Shop My Stash of 2022, and I am so excited. I have a basket. Oh, okay, hold on. All right, there were no casualties, thankfully. It was just one thing that fell out. Anyway, what I was saying was I have this basket of goodies. These are going to be my current like items that I want to rotate and like use during the month of January that are within my collection. How I used to do these was much like everyone else films their Shop Their Stashes videos, where you kind of like get taken along for the ride. But I think I've mentioned it before. My tripod has been broken for like a year and a half, 2 years. And it just, so the tripod one, I can't get it to angle the camera downward in order to film those nice shots, to let you see into my drawers, to like pick out the things together. I'm afraid like the camera is just going to topple off of it. Like it's not, that piece is broken. And then two, I did do a like vanity tour so that you guys could see that. I'll link it above and down below, but I don't know if it like conveys the message too well. It's kind of a tight fit in this little area. Like this is a perfect area for like one person to sit and do their makeup, and it's perfect for me to like scooch my chair and then like film videos here. But outside of that, like I just don't think Shop My Stashes will work in that capacity. So I am going to film mine very much like Jessica Lee films her weekly makeup baskets, where she just sits down and like shows you the products, things like that. I will make sure that I swatch things for you, and we will go like in order that you apply them to your face. So hopefully that sounds exciting to you and you are, you know, excited to look at my January items. The only other thing that I want to say before we get into this assortment of items is that the next video you will see, which should be going up on Friday this week, will be my full like makeup inventory collection video. So if you're curious about like all the things that I have rather than just this little sneak peek, just stay tuned. That should be the next video. So now, without any further rambling, let's get into it. And I'll first start with primers. I pull out two because I use like one more all over my face and then one more in my T-zone with my pores. So the pore one that I pulled out is the Benefit Professional Primer. This is the hydrating version. I am not sure. I used to be like, this was my go-to, not like this specifically, the original Professional. But through using them, I don't know if I'm still a fan of them. So let me know down below what your favorite pore filling primer is. And then the other primer that I pulled out is the Smashbox Photo Focus primer. That is a very reflective packaging, so I doubt you'll even be able to read it. I really love this. I think this is really nice. It is more on the like gel kind of silicone side, so if you're not into that, then don't try this. But I love the way it makes my skin feel, especially in these drier, cooler months. Like it's not necessarily hydrating, but because of that like jelly silicone feeling, it does feel hydrating, and I feel like my skin just doesn't look as flat and matte. All right, so then next we will talk about foundations. I have this one from Juvia's Place. This is their I Am Magic foundation. Mine is in the shade 650 Alexandria. I don't think I'll always swatch foundations for you guys, but I do have to show you. I thought online that I had done a really good job of like shade matching this foundation for myself, and it says that this is supposed to be like the neutral foundation. I don't know if it reads on camera, but in real life, it comes across very like yellow leaning, and it just, you can tell it's not a neutral foundation by any means. Like, I don't know who okayed that description, but I don't like it. And also it's like a thicker foundation, and I feel like just no matter what, even if I go in with the tiniest amount, it always ends up looking cakey on my skin. So I'm going to push myself to finish this off this year. Like this is not coming into 2023 with me, and it's going to be a painstaking process, so you'll probably see this in a lot of baskets. And then the other foundation that I picked out is actually a tinted moisturizer, but it's from Urban Decay. It is the Hydromaniac tinted moisturizer. I have mine in the shade 20 Fair. This is actually what I'm wearing on my face today. I hadn't used this in a very long time. Like I think I bought it when it launched over the summer of 2021, and I used it a few times and I was like, oh, this is nice, and then I like tucked it away in my drawer like I always do. So I thought, well, since this is supposed to be more of a glowy tinted moisturizer, I would probably enjoy it much more this time of year. And yeah, first application, I really have enjoyed it, so I'm going to like having this one out. All right, so let's ramble on about concealers. The first one it is a concealer, but I don't use it as a concealer. So this is from Revlon. This is pretty new, I think. It's the Color Stay, is it the 24 Hour? Color Stay Skin Awaken Caffeine and Vitamin E 5-in-1 Concealer. Ooh, don't you just love it when they throw in all those like catchy words? So this is in the shade 002. I think you can tell in the packaging. This is a very like pink toned concealer. I was sent this from Influencer. I didn't like actually end up reviewing it because my box came after the like end of the Voxbox campaign, but either way it ended up showing up, so I might as well use them. And yeah, like I said, this one is just too pink, so I actually use it as an under eye like color corrector kind of brightener product. That's how it's gonna be used. It's probably going to be like a staple within this makeup basket until I just finish it off, and it's not something that I would consider like repurchasing. And then the actual concealer that I pulled out is from Tarte. This is the Rainforest of the Sea Hydro Sealer. Again, I don't know if you'll be able to see that name, but I have mine in the shade 12N Fair Neutral. I do like to buy my concealers like 1 to 2 shades lighter than my foundation. That way they just kind of like help brighten up my face. And also then if I make the mistake and get a foundation that's a little too dark, I can go in with this and kind of help even it out. But this is a really nice hydrating concealer. I don't find it to be like cakey underneath my eyes or anything like that, so happy to be pulling that one out. All right, so I think I first will show you like the 2 powders that I pulled out, and then we'll go into like all the cream products like cream blush, cream highlighter, cream bronzer, and then we'll switch back over to the powder versions of that. That's just how it makes sense in my head. But the first powder that I pulled out is from Bare Minerals. It's just their concealing powder. This is the shade Well Rested. I took off the like sticker on the back, but I don't know if the camera will focus in on it. I have used quite a lot of this product. I really love this. It looks very yellow like in the packaging, but once you go in and like apply it, I use it to set down my eyeshadow primer and then my concealer, obviously. It just looks so beautiful. It wears so nicely. I haven't had any issues with it making my skin look like cakey around my under eyes, and I feel like it does have a little bit of a brightening effect. And then the all over face powder that I brought in is from Too Faced. It's the Born This Way powder. I still have a ton of product in here. I've used up a full one of these in the past, and I want to say even with consistent use, it took me like 2 years. So this is just one of those things. I do really love this though, so I don't mind that it hangs out for forever. Also, it's kind of a more like pricey product, so at least I know like I'm not blowing through it super quickly. Alright, so let's do cream highlighters. I have 2. I have this from Ciate London. It's called the Dewy Stick, and I think it is in the shade Glow. I don't really know if there's much of a point to swatching this. Actually, I will show you all of the cream products first, and then I will just swatch them on my hand and we will look at them that way. That way it'll go a little bit faster. But anyway, this is the Dewy Stick from Ciate London. I don't have very much left in this, as you can tell. There wasn't a ton of product in this to begin with, and I'm finding that with these highlighter sticks, I don't think they're as good a value as just buying like a liquid highlighter, because they just tend to have way less product and I fly through them more quickly. Stick foundation, stick blush, stick highlighter, stick whatever doesn't even tend to be my favorite. So I just want this gone out of my collection. I think this will just like live within my Shop My Stashes until I like move this out. And it doesn't it's not like nice and glowy either. It almost kind of looks like you're just sweating when you put it on. So not the best look, but you know, okay. And And then the other liquid highlighter that I have that I pulled out is from ABH. It is their Liquid Glow Highlighter in the shade Perla. I absolutely love this. These liquid highlighters like this, I really love to mix into my foundations. I have a lot of matte foundations, so I like to make them more glowy. I think it looks really nice, and you might be thinking like, well, Haley, just buy some glowy foundations. I do have a few. I lied. I have the NYX Born to Glow. But I like the wear time of a matte foundation. I feel like it doesn't break down as quickly on my skin as a like satin or dewy foundation does. So I will continue to just do this and make foundations work for me in that way. All right, so the cream bronzer that I am bringing in is my Milk Makeup Cream Bronzer. This is in the shade Baked. This is a huge product. This is technically my only cream bronzer, but I'm going to show you something else that I think I'm going to finish off as a cream bronzer, but it lives within my cream blushes category. It's really neither here nor there till we get there, but yeah, I absolutely love this as a cream bronzer, and like I said, it's technically my only one. So then the cream blushes, let's do that first one. This is from Fenty Beauty. It's their cream blush, and this was in the shade Fenty Glow. I think this was limited edition last year, but I'm not sure. My packaging is super dirty. You can see I have like a good sizable pan on this. When I first got this and started using it, I absolutely loved it as a cream blush. But now, I don't know if it's because we're in the winter and my skin's a little bit paler, but when I wear this as a cream blush and I put my Milk Makeup bronzer stick on, I can't really tell a difference between the two of them. So I think what I'm going to do is pull this out and use it as a cream bronzer for right now and see if I can finish it off, because my cream blush category, like you will see in tomorrow's video, has really like taken off and gotten like out of control. So the other, I did pull out two other cream blushes. So again, another one from Fenty Beauty. This is in the shade Summertime Wine. This one is super pretty. It's a little too dark and intense. I have to go in with a very light hand using a stipple brush. If I use a beauty sponge, it just, too much, too quick. But I do really enjoy this. However, I don't know, since it's a very berry toned kind of blush, I don't know how much use I will get out of that in the summer. And then the last blush that I got is from ColourPop. This is a Super Shock Cheek. It is in the shade Between the Sheets. Here is what it is looking like. This is just a really pretty like soft pink blush. And like I said, after I show you these next two cream highlighters, I will swatch all of these products out so that you can see them. So then the reason I have so many like cream highlighters pulled out is because I use them in different ways. So like the ABH one gets mixed into my foundation, like I said. And then these I apply more like a regular highlighter around my face. So this first one is from Ritual de Fille. I think I said that right. It's the Solaris highlighter. This is really pretty. It's like a creamy white with like a pink flip. I don't know why I used creamy to describe that, but it is like a duochrome highlighter. It's a bit more of a stiffer formula than some of the other cream highlighters that I've worked with, but I'm really excited to test this out, play around with it more. I got this sometime in November, I want to say, and I used it a handful of times and then kind of tucked it away. I was like really trying to focus in on finishing off some items that I didn't want to carry into 2022 with me. So I'm excited to pull this back out and really form an opinion on it. And then something I was gifted for Christmas is from ColourPop. It is a Super Shock highlighter in the shade Stole the Show. Oh, I wore this for the first time today. I think you can see some disruption in the pan. This is really pretty. If I'm not mistaken, they describe it as a white with pink and silver like sparkly reflex, and it's really pretty. So happy to have this. Now let me quickly swatch all these things out for you. All right, so I ended up swatching everything out. Again, hopefully we can make this work and you can see everything. So this first thing right here is the Ciate London Dewy Stick. And so then underneath that is the ABH Liquid Glow Highlighter in the shade Perla. And then underneath that right here is the Ritual de Fille highlighter in the shade Solaris. And then underneath that one is the ColourPop Super Shock highlighter in the shade Stole the Show. And then the is that it? Yeah, that's it. That's all the highlighters right there. And so then if we switch over to like this side, this first swatch is the Milk Makeup Bronzer Stick in the shade Baked. And then underneath that is the Fenty Beauty Fenty Glow Cream Blush, and that's the shade Fenty Glow. And I think you can see these are super similar to each other. So then the next one is the Fenty Beauty Cream Blush in the shade Summertime Wine. And then underneath that is the ColourPop Super Shock Chic in the shade Between the Sheets. So those are all of the cream products swatched out. Okay, so the only bronzer that I pulled out is from Juvia's Place. This is a duo bronzer. This is from their, I think this released with their bronzed eyeshadow palette and the blushed rose eyeshadow palette. Excuse my phone. So I ended up picking up the shade Medium because I just felt like the shades, was it fair or light? I don't know if they had a fair. They might have just had light. But I thought those were like just too light. I ended up, I have to go in with a lighter hand than I thought, but these are really pretty. I do enjoy them. They blend out very nicely. I think out of the two, the top one is more of my favorite. So this is a swatch of the top one and then that bottom one. To me, like in real life, this bottom shade right here has much more red in it than I would prefer for a bronzer to have. So yeah, I haven't really, I think I've used that bottom shade once. Maybe that'll be something that I really try to pull out and reach for more in the summertime. But my focus is just going to be to use this one right now. All right, so then I ended up pulling up 3 powder blushes that I want to use. So the first one is from Benefit. This is a mini. It is in the shade Gold Rush. I really like this, and this isn't really a color that I would use during this time of year. It's very light and peachy, kind of pink. You'll see that when I show you the swatches of all 3 of them. But the reason I pulled it out is because the other 2 blushes that I pulled out are darker blushes, and sometimes I get a little bit too ham with my blushes, and I find that with that Benefit one, I can take a little bit on my blush brush and kind of help blend out and soften a blush if I've gotten too ham with it. So that's why I pulled that one out. Then I also pulled out this blush from the ColourPop Sailor Moon collection. This is in the shade Cat's Eye. I had worked on this for a time or two, I think in my Project Random Uses when I did that. And then I just like put it away. Didn't like reach for it much after that, if at all. And so I feel like it's a very pretty, vibrantly hot pink blush, which might not sound appealing to you in the winter, but I think it's, I don't know, it's pretty, and I haven't reached for it in a very long time. So I figure let's start off the new year right by reaching for things that haven't got a lot of love. And then the last blush that I pulled out is from Uden's Eye. This is part of their Alva Flower Blusher collection. This is in the shade Water Lily. And it had this really pretty like fairy imprint on it. I don't know, again, if you'll be able to see that, but I have worn away quite a bit of the imprinting. So that's kind of fun, right? But I have swatched out all 3 of these blushes for you. So this top one is the Benefit Gold Rush. This middle one is the ColourPop Cat's Eye, and then this bottom one is the Uden's Eye Water Lily, which is probably my favorite. I feel like this will be my most reached for blush out of the 3 of them. All right, we are getting to the end. So highlighters, I want to bring out this highlighter palette again from Uden's Eye. This is the I think, I'm not sure. It's the Sun and Moon, and I don't mean to like butcher any like language. Like I'm really trying hard to pronounce it the right way, but I don't know Swedish, so try my best. However, this is a very pretty highlighter palette. I got this in a mystery box from Uden's Eye. This is not something that I would have picked out for myself, but I'm really glad that I was sent it. Obviously, my 2 favorite shades, I think you can see the most disruption in these 2 pans are this peachy pink, or this peachy gold, and this more pink shade. And I was really like super intimidated by these 2. This one's like a white with like blue reflect, and then this one's kind of like a white green almost kind of shade. Hopefully you can tell, but I have gotten more use out of these in the winter time. Today on my cheeks, I'm actually wearing this like bluer shade, and I find that it's really pretty. Like I like it more than I thought I would. Haven't really been a big colored highlighter person, but having just this small like little sample of colored highlighters has been great for my collection. And then the other highlighter that I pulled out is one that I love this highlighter in the like cooler months, but I don't really like it in the warmer months. So I want to give myself kind of like the ability to use it, maybe expand the pan on it. So this is the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector Highlighter in the shade Vanilla Quartz. RIP Becca. I know Smashbox is selling some of their things, but I don't think they're carrying all of their highlighters. In my personal Ulta, the only things that I saw that Smashbox was carrying from Becca were the under eye brightening corrector and the, I think, champagne pop. Like, so I don't know if that's the only two things. Like, I really thought they would pick up the primer, but that's neither here nor there to this stash. You just want to see that and see, hopefully you can see like the nice pan in there. Maybe if I hold it this way. Yeah, this is a really pretty highlighter. It is one of my favorites within my collection. It's just a little bit icy, which is why I tend to only want to wear it in the cooler months. Maybe you can see it there. I will swatch out the highlighter palette as well for you. All right, so again, that top one is the Becca Vanilla Quartz, and then these bottom four are from the Uden's Eye highlighting palette. Really pretty, really kind of, I guess they're all more on the intense side, but with the brush that I use from BH Cosmetics, I'm able to like diffuse it out a little bit better and not have it be so like stark on my face. So yeah, really excited about those highlighters. All right, so let's do setting sprays and then lip products, and then we'll finish off with some eyeshadow palettes, which is always fun. So the first thing I want to show you is from Pixi. This is the Hydrating Milky Mist. Now, I am still a firm believer that Pixi is a little too overpriced for what they offer, but these were gifted to me by my cousin. She had bought them, and then they were not something that she wanted to use, so I figured, like, okay, I'll take them. So this Hydrating Milky Mist, I use this to, I will put on my face primers, and then I will spray something like this on my face, especially now in the dead of winter, because like I said, my skin is kind of like tight and dry, and I feel like having this like hydrating like kind of prep spray really helps to bring back a lot of that moisture into my face. So I really do like this Hydrating Milky Mist. I don't know how much it is off the top of my head, but I don't foresee myself like repurchasing it, even though I do like it, because again, I think Pixi is expensive and a little bit overrated. So then this next thing is their Glow Mist, and I have used a good bit of this. I'm trying to quickly work this out of my collection. I don't like this. It is far too glowy. Like, I spray very little. I am not liberal with this by any means, but I feel like after I use it and I spray my face with it, I feel like I just have this like sweaty sheen that looks, it's just not a good look, okay? All right, let's do lip products. So the first thing is the ColourPop Lippy Stick in the shade Parker. This is like a really nice, like just everyday nude kind of shade in my opinion. So I really like this. I have used quite a bit of this product. If I roll it down, give you a peek into the like little component there. But yeah, I just want to pull this out, get some more use on it. Another lipstick that I have is from Juvia's Place. I got this for Christmas. I've fallen in love with these bullet lipsticks from Juvia's Place, and they smell like vanilla cupcakes. So this is in the shade Kibi. I am not sure. They came out with like a nudes collection, a chocolates and a berries, and you know, within the nudes collection they had like peachy nudes, brown nudes, things like that. So I'm not quite sure as to which like line this Kibi shade falls into, but it is a really pretty like plummy brown red kind of shade. I am super into this. This is not what I'm wearing on my lips today. I'm actually wearing something that I didn't pull for. So then the last like lipstick that I have is from Rare Beauty. This is their Lip Souffle. It is in the shade Fearless. This is my favorite lip product within my collection. It looks a little bit dark, but it is such a pretty brown color, and I honestly love wearing it like every day. I don't care what eye look I have on. I always feel like it looks great, so I'm really happy to play around with these three lip colors. And then I did pull out two lip glosses, both from Fenty Beauty. They're both from holiday sets, so they're the minis. This one is in the shade it's in the shade Cake Shake, which is from their holiday set from last year. It's the only one other than the full size. I still have the full size, whatever one came in that set, but this is the only mini that I have left from that set. And then I did pick up their holiday set for this year, and so that's where this one comes from, and I think it is in the shade Hot Chocolate Fantasy. So let me swatch these out. This first one though, the Cake Shake shade, I'm at the point where I have taken the stopper out of this, so I'm really excited. Maybe I could finish this off like by the end of February maybe, because there's a lot more product in these minis than you think. And then this other one is what I have on today. I have on the Uden's Eye Matte Lip Cream in the shade Perfect Plum, I think. And then I did top it with this gloss. So over here for the glosses, this is the Cake Shake. And then this is that Hot Chocolate Fantasy one, which is a really pretty, like, kind of purpley, but it's got like some pretty like glitters in it. I don't know. It's just really pretty. All right, let me clean off my hand and we will talk about the most fun thing, which is eyeshadows. So one thing I failed to mention before we like started this whole video is that you will not see me pull for items like lip pencils or eyeliners or mascaras or eyeshadow primers or things like that, because in my vanity tour, I kind of showed you guys those items just consistently live on my desk right here. So I don't feel the need to shop my stash for like lip pencils or eyeliners, because I'm just pulling for what makes sense for me for what I want for that day. So that's why we don't see anything like that, or like mascaras, just whatever, in case you were wondering. But eyeshadow palettes. So I believe my eyeshadow tracking video has already went live, and my plan for this year is to really make a concerted effort to keep track of how many times I use each of my palettes. So in saying that, with these Shop My Stashes, I want to always pull out 3 to 4 eyeshadow palettes just to kind of play around with, but I am not really going to, like, it's not a hard and fast, like, you have to use these palettes. If I want to use something else, then I will, because I really just want to kind of almost take this year to play with what I want to, you know? I don't know. I go back and forth. Currently, right now, as we are sitting here, I don't have any plans for, like, panning eyeshadows. If you have any ideas or you want to see anything in particular from me, let me know down below. But yeah, so as it stands right now, my plan is to just like play around and kind of be happy and explore. So the first palette that I pulled in, I placed an order with Uden's Eye during their Black Friday sale because it was a really good sale. So I got the Soul Mana eyeshadow palette because I really enjoyed the highlighter palette. So I do want to play around with this. I have not yet touched it or swatched it. This green shade down here came broken to me, but it was okay because it was very contained within the pan and I was able to repress it back together. But this does have a really pretty like neutral color story. I do have to say, I used to own the Uden's Eye Alwa eyeshadow palette, the more like pinky purple cool toned one. The shimmers in there were really pretty, but the mattes I wasn't the biggest fan of. I ended up like passing that along to Laura. Hopefully she gets a lot better use out of it than I did. So I really hope that the mattes in here are better, but I don't know. This was their first eyeshadow palette that they came out with, so the mattes might be the same. I also have the Norns eyeshadow palette from them now, and I have noticed that there's a few mattes in there that I do have to work with that are a little bit more patchy, but their shimmer formula is so nice that I really do still like the eyeshadow. Well, I don't know, I won't speak for this one, but for the Norns eyeshadow palette, the shimmer formula in there is just so nice that I'm like willing to work with those mattes. The next palette that I pulled out is from BH Cosmetics, is the Blueberry Muffin palette. Now the background of this is like super reflective and holographic. I will try to bring this in for you. I think maybe you can get a good representation. I love this palette. If you are wanting to dip your toes into blue eyeshadows, but you're a little afraid, go with this. This is not a blue eyeshadow palette. This is a neutral eyeshadow palette that can lend you to have fun with blue. I really think that this is quite effortless, even though it looks a little scary. The blues are just so nice in here. I am toying with the idea of doing like a 2 looks 1 palette with this. But yeah, I just absolutely love this. I'm never mad at my eye look when I play around with that palette. And so then another one that I want to play around with more is from Beauty Bakery. So they had these at Target, and it was like a Target exclusive. They had another one for the holidays that was like the sweet potato pie. I ended up picking up the I'm with the Cookie Baking Crew one for the holidays. It is really pretty. I have swatched this and worn it once. So the shimmer shade that I wore was this like minty blue. These don't have names on them, but I wore this minty blue, and then I dipped into this brown and this blue, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know, the formula was a bit more on the drier side than what I personally prefer. So I want to take this month and like play around with it and just see how I feel about it. And then the last palette is actually the palette that I'm wearing on my eyes today. It is the Club Nebula palette that Angelica Nyqvist did in collaboration with Kaleidos. This is such a pretty palette. This is a year old. This came out in January of 2021. I do have one pan. Oh, if I would have dropped this, I would have cried. You would have seen me cry on camera. I do have one pan of eyeshadow in this and some good dips in some of the other shades. In case you are curious, how can I hold this and like tell you what is on my eyes? So I have the shade Naru here, which is this kind of like cool tone brown. I also have the shade Rock Copper, and then I have the matte blue shade, which is Void. And then all over my lid, even though it's coming off like more of a blue color, I do have this purple topper shimmer called You Are My Only Hope. And then in my inner corners, I do have this like more blue-white shimmer that is Nova. So I really love this palette. I think that I'm going to get a lot of use out of it this year. But yeah, that wraps up the shop mustache. I think I've been filming for like 40 minutes. Oh, Lord help us. Let's hope these videos don't end up being like super long all the time. But I was just excited to share with you the collection or the items that I've picked out for January. I hope you guys are excited, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.